Let us close the eyes for a moment. With deep love, remembering God and Masters, let us offer our prayer. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May God protect us all. May we enjoy food together. May we meditate and pray together. May we attain wisdom through our study and discussion. May there be no conflict among us. May there be peace within and everywhere. Om. Amen. I bow to one formless divinity. I bow to all the saints and sages of all times and places. Humbly, I bow to lineage of Kriya Yoga masters, perceiving presence of divine in each one of you. I bow to you all. Good evening and welcome to this series of lectures. Today is the last lecture of this series, Test of Character. We are thankful to God and all the masters for all their beautiful teachings we have received from them. We have discussed many different questions to test our character, whether we are strong or we have some weakness, we have some flaws in our character. We have completed 17 questions. Now, today we are going to discuss the 18th question. And this question is also relevant to our practice. Are you easily distracted? This is very common in modern time because we have so many distractions. Gurudev used to say, there are many temptations, there are many distractions. So you should be very careful. Distraction is the state of mind. Have you ever experienced that you wake up early morning trying to do your prayers, meditation, or your yoga practice, but your mind is elsewhere? And before you know it, you are done with it without being mindful of it. Very often it happens that we want to do something, but we are not there. Suppose you are trying to focus on some project, but mind is not concentrated on that job. And it happens very often because our mind is distracted. It's not focused on the goal, on the task which we are supposed to do. It shows that we are not in the present moment. Either mind is thinking about some past or roaming in some future. If you read the Yoga Sutra of Patanjali, when Sage Patanjali is explaining about the vrittis, modifications of mind, 5 types of modifications, and if we can restrict, if we can control these thought patterns, then we can control the mind and eventually we can go to the state of no mind and then samadhi state, realization. While explaining the vrittis in the commentary of Yoga Sutra, Vyasa Bhashya, there is description about the 5 states of mind. These 5 states of mind we all have, because mind is constantly fluctuating. It does not remain in one state. So according to the Vyasa Bhashya, commentary of sage Vyasa on Yoga Sutra of Patanjali, the first state of mind he has explained as Kshipta. Kshipta means agitated or scattered mind. And this is most of the time we face. Second state is Mudha. Mudha means dull or lethargic mind. Dull mind, it is more dominated by tamas. Kshipta is by rajas. Third state is called Vikshipta. Vikshipta means partially focused. It is still agitated, restless, but partially focused. Fourth state of mind is known as Ekagra. Eka Agra means one pointed. Eka means one, Agra means towards or pointed. Ekagra, so we can say it is concentrated state. Then fifth is called Niruddha. Niruddha means fully arrested. And this is the state of the yogis, when they have completely restricted the flow of thoughts. So mind remains in these 5 states. As we meditate, we go to the fourth and then fifth state. From restless mind, we go to the focused mind, and from focused mind to no mind. This is how we progress in our meditation. We'll discuss a little bit more about this Kshipta Vikshipta. Remember, mind, which is manifestation of Prakriti, the nature, Mother Nature, is consisting of 3 qualities of Prakriti, because Prakriti is intrinsic of 3 qualities, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. So also mind is born from the Sattvic portion of Prakriti. So mind also has 3 qualities. Sattva means purity, balance, harmony. Rajas means activity, restlessness, agitation, and tamas is dullness, inertia. You can observe in your day-to-day life that mind is going through these states, sometimes very lethargic, sometimes very restless, sometimes very well focused, balanced, peaceful mind. So we go through all these states in 24 hours. And this fluctuation of mind is a reflection of the disequilibrium of the 3 qualities, which is the common nature of all creation. Because these 3, like a triangle, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, when they are in perfect equilibrium, mind is merging back into Prakriti, its original cause. There is no more mind, it is state of Samadhi. Similarly, when these 3 gunas, 3 qualities of Prakriti, they come to perfect equilibrium, Prakriti goes back to its original cause, to Purusha, it becomes unmanifest. So all this play of mind is because of these 3 qualities. Now, Sage Patanjali is explaining, or Vyasaji explains about the Kshipta, the first state of mind. Kshipta means scattered brain. This is the most common state of mind that most of us are in during our waking hours. When we are wakeful, we have this scattered, agitated mind. This state is fully dominated by Rajas or Rajas quality. In this state of Kshipta, mind is totally restless, jumping from one thought to another, from one emotion to the next, and from one object to the next, constantly moving. One oscillates between love and hate, likes and dislikes, etc., as a leaf flutters in the wind. So this is Kshipta state of mind. The second state is Mudha. Mudha means dull mind, inert mind. This Mudha state is dominated by tamasa quality, tamasic quality, in which mind is dull, sleepy, lethargic, and lacking any alertness. You don't want to do anything. When you are mentally fatigued, you may throw up your hands saying, my brain is fried, I need a break. All you want to do at that time is to be in a couch potato for some time. In the Mudha state, no productive work can be achieved. During the waking state, one usually alternates between Kshipta and Mudha state. When we are wakeful, so we go in between these two states, either too much scattered or inert mind. Rajas guna can propel us to be attracted towards an object of the senses. We desire and we are attracted towards the objects of senses when Rajasic guna is more prevalent. However, if we are denied that object which we desire, then tamas can drive us into a state of sadness or even depression. So this is Mudha state. Now third is Vikshipta. Vikshipta is partially focused mind. In our pursuit of life, material or spiritual, there are moments when Sattva Guna begins to dominate and the mind can find moments of focus and concentration. However, old habits keep pulling the mind away from Sattva and back to Rajas and Tamas. The Vikshipta state represents the pulling away from the partial state of concentration and is brought about by the 9 impediments to concentration or Vikshepa, which is mentioned in Yoga Sutra of Patanjali, the 9 obstacles. And they are associated with 5 companions. So many obstacles are there which take our mind away from the state of calmness or balance. Literally, a mind under the influence of Vikshepa is known as Vikshipta. Means when it is dominated by many obstacles, then it is Vikshipta, means partially focused. In our yoga practice, whenever we sit for meditation, we do find brief periods when the mind seems to be still and focused on the object of meditation. Like when we concentrate in the chakras, focusing on the breath, light, sound, pulsation. So at that time, we feel that we are focused for some time. But again, it goes to Kshipta state, scattered state. However, soon it gets distracted by other thoughts, which is known as Vikshipta state, means little focused and again restless, Vikshipta. Fourth state is known as Ekagra. Ekagra is 1.8. And this, according to Sage Vyasa, Ekagra state represents what Sage Patanjali calls Sampragyata Samadhi, which is mentioned in Sutra, first book, 17th Sutra. In this state, in the state of Ekagra, mind is fully focused on the object of meditation and the objects becomes fully illuminated, realized and completely known. So it is, you can say that after a long practice, you can achieve that you can focus on, or you can keep your attention pinpointed at one particular object. Let's say let's in the Sahasrara or in the atom point. So Ekagra is the state which can diminish the afflictions in our life. And it can loosen the bonds of karma and brings a person closer to the final state of Niruddha. In a real yogic sense, only the perception of an object in the state of samadhi can be labeled as direct perception. Normal perception through the 5 senses, which is commonly called direct, is in fact incomplete, incorrect, impaired, and distorted because of the imperfections of the senses themselves, imperfection of mind and intellect, because they are not still pure, as they are dominated by the negative ego. However, ekagra is the state where you are completely focused on one point or on one object, maybe just one thought, but it is one. Then the fourth or fifth state, it is called niruddha, means fully arrested in concentration. This is the final state. So Seja Vyasa equates the niruddha state with what Sage Patanjali calls asampragyata samadhi, which is in the first book, 18th sutra. Ekagra is related to sampragyata samadhi, asampragyata is related to niruddha. So in this state of niruddha, no new samskaras or impression can arise. Whatever is old, it is going away, but you cannot create anything new. Even though past impressions still remain, they are made ineffective and can no longer cause any afflictions. In the state of ekagra, still you may feel some affliction, but here in the state of niruddha, fully arrested, there is no affliction. However, in the state of niruddha, the mind continues to provide its normal functionality. However, it is now fully under the control of yogi, and all the fluctuations or modifications of mind that happen are under the control of pure sattvic intellect, as opposed to being controlled by the ego. So in niruddha state, the pure intellect is controlling all the vrittis or fluctuations, and you are free from any samskaras. When the state of niruddha is sustained for a long time, the mind gets finally dissolved in the state of equilibrium of the gunas, qualities, which leads to kaivalya or final liberation. However, this is going to be more philosophical. But these are the 5 states of mind which we experience in our day-to-day life. So ask yourself, do you get easily distracted? Do you get distracted by other people, by their comments? Do you get distracted by the opinion of others? Do you get distracted because of the actions of others? Do you get distracted because of your mobile cell phone? Answer is yes, there are so many distractions. So we have to meditate regularly, make our mind ekagra, one pointed, and then it can be dissolved. It takes long practice, but it is possible. So ask yourself, if you are easily getting distracted, then you have to regulate this habit of distraction and meditate. Now, the next question you have to ask, this is again related to when we deal with people in the society, when we are at workplace, when we are at home, when we are in a community or organization. So we have to deal with people, and we find some personalities who always try to force their opinion. So ask yourself this question: do you try to force yourself on others? Do you try to force yourself on others? We all have our own opinion. We all have our own way of thinking. But forcing others to accept what we want is not good. Just think, did you ever try to change someone, but they were unwilling to do so? You might have this kind of experience in family or in your workplace. You try to change someone, but they are unwilling to do so. The truth is, you cannot force people to change. And that's why there is a proverb: people do not resist change, they resist being changed, because there is always insecurity in the back of their mind that they don't want to change the way they live, the way they think. So people don't resist change, but they resist being changed. Another thing, people change only when change is their choice. By choice, they will change, but not by force. So we have to consider this thing when we deal with the people. No one likes to be controlled. We always try to control others than our own whims. We should never impose our views or opinions on others. If we are right, then we should be able to convince others. If they do not listen, then give them time to rethink and digest the truth. But what happens? We try to force again and again, and it doesn't work. Rather, we spoil the relationship, and there is always conflict. It is okay for you to believe what you believe. It is not okay, however, for you to insist that everyone else believe the same as you. It cannot be. Just think, our guru preceptors have taught us to control the mind and control the breath. But instead of doing that, we are controlling people, we are controlling their lives and everything else. So, what we are supposed to control? Our breath and our mind. But what we are doing? We are trying to control everything else than that. In the families, we see sometimes the husband is trying to control the wife and vice versa. Parents are trying to control the children, boss is trying to control the employee, and as a result, no one is happy. So, not to control, convince. What we can do to get rid of the habit of the controlling other people? We have to accept as they are. This is a mantra for happiness also. Accept others as they are. The conflict starts when we don't accept others as they are, because we want to change as we think. We want to make them as we are. Or in other words, we want to convert them. We cannot convert by force. In general, we can observe that if we disagree, we get angry. If we disapprove, then we start judging people. If we feel we know better, we give unsolicited advice. Nobody likes being told what to do. People need love. With love, we can tell anything and it can be followed. But with force, no problem, no choice. So, what we can do, we have to let go the need to correct. This is what we see, that we see someone who is committing a mistake. We see someone doing something in some other way as we do not do normally. So what we do immediately, we start telling people, you have to correct, you have to do this way. It's not necessary that your way is the always right. So let go the need to correct at that time, at least, because you'll end up in conflict. So just tolerate it, see it, and then later on with love, you can tell, look, this is the thing can be done in this way. So let go this need to correct. We always have that, okay, I have to correct this person. Swamiji, you should speak this word in this way. Swamiji, you should tell this. Swamiji, you should not tell this. I get advice. This is fine. For correction, it is okay. But this becomes a habit that we start telling everybody, you should do this, you should do this. You force your opinion. Second things, do not force your opinion on others. Give them time. Everybody wants some freedom. So give the freedom. Third thing, do not be pushy or self-righteous and judgmental. Sometimes in the family it happens that once I was in a family staying after program, wife told husband, can you go to the nearby market and bring some milk? Husband was doing some work. So he said, okay, I'll go in 5 minutes. After 2 minutes, he came back again and said, you're still here, you didn't go? So just let me finish, in few minutes I'll go. Before 5 minutes, again she came and started pushing, you should go. So he became irritated and then there was a dispute, however. So don't be pushy, don't be self-righteous, and don't be judgmental. These are the things we need to do. Then avoid gossiping. This is also another bad habit, that when we try to control people, and when we see something is not working, we start gossiping about the people. However, this is few things we can do to rectify our nature of controlling people. Another good thing which we have to remember here, that we think something is right according to our perception, but somebody else is perceiving in a different way, and that person can also be right. For example, if you see in this slide, it is very beautiful example. If you see these two people, there is a digit written 6. So a person looking from this side is telling this is 6, but the person from the other side is looking at the same digit and telling it is 9. Now tell who is correct. Both are correct from their own viewpoint, from their own side. So you may be right, but it does not mean that the other person is wrong. So remember, treat everybody equally. If you don't treat equally everyone, then you'll discriminate, then you will favor someone, you will dislike someone, you'll like someone. And in that way, when you dislike someone, you'll try to impose your views. Treat everybody right by treating them as you want to be treated. Because what goes in comes out. This is the normal rule. And also allow everyone to have their opinion. Many times in groups, in families, person who tries to control is not allowing people to express even their views or opinion. So allow everyone to have their opinion, whether it is right or wrong, that is subject of discussion. Do not try to force other people to do your opinion by any means. You can suggest this is the best way and ask for the feedback, ask for the suggestions. If it is good, it will be followed. But when we try to force, it does not work. So check your habit. Are you controlling others? Do you try to force yourself on others? If yes, then you have to change this habit. Now I'll come to the last question. The last question is about compliments. We do a lot of good work. Everybody has many skills, talents, and many beautiful qualities. When we do something good, people appreciate. And it is a common practice. When you do something good, people appreciate, they give you compliments. But if we are always looking for compliments, that if nobody is complimenting, then I will be depressed. I'm not motivated if somebody is not giving me compliments, then there is something problem. You have to be self-motivated. So ask this question, the last question, to test your character. Do you wish for compliments? Naturally, if you do something good, people will give some compliments. But do you always desire, do you always wish that people should compliment me for everything? That means you don't have self-confidence. So ask yourself this question. Do you always wish compliments? Compliment is an expression of praise, commendation, or admiration. Compliments are little gifts with an enormous effect or impact. They cost you nothing and can change the lives for good, yours and others. We all like to be noticed and acknowledged for our accomplishments. When someone notices and appreciates something you have done, they are usually being honest. So when you receive a compliment, believe it and take it for what it is. You help others, but you are doing it to gain something in return from them, and not doing those acts of kindness selflessly is a leak in the bucket. It is flaw in character. You help others, but you are doing it to gain something in return. That is business. That's not giving compliments or appreciating. Receiving praise feels good. It's a positive approval of our behavior and gives us a sense of acceptance. What happens if we do not get the recognition we deserve? Should everyone expect to be acknowledged for their hard work? Does it change your approach towards your goal when no one praises you? It should not. You just focus on your work, what you are supposed to do, but always expecting that somebody should cheer me up. If it happens, happens. If not, will you stop working? That's not good. So that's why if compliments come on the way, that's fine. If not, don't worry about it. Instead of reacting angrily or being disappointed because someone did not recognize our efforts, we should give ourselves praise. You can say, oh, I did good. Be self-motivated. Depending on others to encourage you or acknowledge your work can negatively affect you. If you do not receive praise, you may begin to second guess yourself or even react by sabotaging your own work. Kids will act out if they are not recognized. As adults, we stop making progress by getting caught up in our feelings. This weak behavior does not affect the person you are looking to praise you, it affects you. You should not stop being your best just because someone didn't compliment your efforts or approve what you do. If you expect praise from others and do not get it, you'll be frustrated. Do your work without expectation of reward. If you always wish that people should appreciate your work, then you lack self-confidence. So ask this question, do you always wish for compliments from others? If yes, then you have to change this habit and start focusing on your own work. Compliments will always come on the way, because otherwise you will be frustrated, you will stop working, you feel demotivated. But in order to progress, you have to motivate yourself, and sometimes you can pat on your shoulder, I have done well. So have confidence and move on. However, so we talked about these 20 questions to test character. Let me give you the summary of these 20 questions. Test of character in our these 6 classes, what we have discussed. To test our character, whether we are strong, the first question we discussed, do you lose your temper easily? Second question, are you inclined to be argumentative? Third, do you like to eavesdrop? Fourth is, Are you inclined to be hasty in speech? Fifth, do you laugh at the mistake of others? Sixth, do you mind being criticized? The seventh question, do you easily get flustered or excited? Eighth, are you touchy? Means are you too sensitive? Ninth, are you suspicious? 10th is, are you self-indulgent? 11th question, do you live above your income? 12th is, do you lack self-confidence? 13th is, do you move around clumsily and noisily? The 14th question was, are you inclined to procrastinate? 15th, do you ever doubt the honesty of others? 16th, do you blame others for your own faults? 17th, do you like to boss others? 18th, are you easily distracted? 19th, do you try to force yourself on others? And 20th and last question was, do you wish for compliments? If any of the question gives you answer in yes, then you have to work on this aspect and make your character strong, because these are the flaws, these are the shortcomings in our character. As is the character, so we are. And how do we form this character? We discussed in our previous classes that as we think, so we become. We can change our destiny, we can change our habits. Only thing, we have to use the tool of self-analysis, self-inquiry, honestly taking feedback from others, and we can change our many of the bad habits. It is possible. And most of these questions, as we discussed, simple solutions we get for many of these questions: to watch the breath, to meditate regularly, and we can be free from many of these problems. So this is the topic we discussed, test of character. If you want to know more about these qualities or this test in detail, then various books written by Guruji, you can refer to them. So some of these books I would recommend: Freedom from Anger. It will give you idea what is anger, how to deal with anger. Know Your Mind is one of the best book, that how mind works, how it functions, and how we can regulate the mind, become free from the play of mind. Freedom from Fear. We have many types of fear. So how to be free from this so-called fear, because many times it is imaginary fear. Then Guruji has written, he is writing a series of books every year during the Christmas and New Year time. So one of these series book is Freedom from Sorrow. The second one was Freedom from Judgmental Attitude, and so on. So these are the 5 books you can refer to about whatever we discussed in this series of lecture, Test of Character, and it will give you solution and many things, many ideas how we can improve and be a better person. Sometimes we don't need to stay at one place, but we need to walk. It is said walking is the best exercise. I'm in Seattle and I have started walking every day for 3 miles. It looks good. But in real life also, we have to walk away sometimes. So some beautiful quotes are here. Walk away from arguments that lead you nowhere but anger. Because we discussed anger, losing temper, being argumentative. So if there is any situation, walk away. Walk away from arguments that lead you nowhere but anger. Walk away from people who deliberately put you down. There's no need to be with them. Walk away from any thought that reduces your worth. And walk away from failures and fears that stifle your dreams. Gift yourself a walk towards happiness. So, this is the test of character. We can test our character by asking these 20 questions, and we can get rid of all our shortcomings, weaknesses. We can become a better person. As Guruji says, be a good person. Guruji says good and God, they're closer. Just there is one O in between. So if you want to be good, if you want to be God, then first be good. Swami Shivananji used to say, do good, be good. I am praying to God and the masters to give us inner strength, more love, and sincerity to continue our spiritual practice, meditation regularly, and be a better person. We need good people in the society. We need good people. If our meditation, if our spiritual practice is not transforming us, then there is something wrong in our practice. So we have to again do self-analysis, keeping faith in God and masters, and continue practice. We can transform our life, we can change ourselves for good, and we can also change other people with love, not by bossing others, not by controlling others. Let our life be life of love, peace, harmony. Let us be a personification of selfless love and selfless service. It's time for meditation. So we'll take our general meditation now. Please close your eyes. Keep your spine straight. Feel the space around you. Just be relaxed. Withdraw your attention from the external world of objects. Keep your attention in between the eyebrows. Feel the space inside the body. The spinal canal. 7 energy centers. This body is like a magnet. Head is the natural North Pole, bottom of the spine, natural South Pole. Let us begin with watching our breath. To introvert the mind, observe every single breath. Initially, you may feel gentle friction in the nostrils, breath going to the lungs, coming out of the nose, gross or physical breath. Turn your attention to the subtle breath moving from top of the head to base of the spine. Don't forget your breath. It is breath of God. Your mind is changing from kshipta, scatter, to vikshipta, partially focused state. More love, to regulate the breath, regulating the pranic energy. We will practice deep breathing, simple pranayam technique. Slow, long, deep inhalation with the feeling of receiving all positive qualities, good qualities. Slow, long, deep exhalation, feeling we are eliminating all the negative tendencies. We will practice as per our capacity from bottom to top. Please inhale, love, Exhale, peace. Inhale, love. Exhale, peace. Inhale, love. Exhale, peace. Inhale, peace. Exhale, love. Inhale, peace. Exhale, love. Inhale, peace. Exhale, love. Inhale, love. Exhale, peace. Inhale, love. Exhale, peace. Inhale, love. Exhale, peace. Inhale, love. Exhale, peace. Every inhalation, love within. In each exhalation, peace within and without. Normal conscious breath. You will feel breath becomes very slow and feeble. Mind is very calm. Go up into the inner space inside the cranium, beyond body, beyond thought. Just be there in the atom point. Meditate in silence. extreme calmness, state of bliss and peace. Bring your attention back to the soul center in between the eyebrows. Your body, your mind, both are relaxed, both are completely calm and steady. Maintain this state all the time in all the activities. Praying to God and the Masters. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May all become happy and healthy, loving, noble, and compassionate. May there be no suffering or sorrow. May there be more love, peace, and harmony among us and in the entire creation. May the blessings of divine and the masters be upon us all and everywhere. Om. Amen. Open the eyes. Thank you all for joining this series of lecture on test of character. So from next Thursday, we will start a new series. And this time we will be talking about our own practice, the components of Kriya Yoga. So I'll give you some more detail about Kriya Yoga itself. Till then, meditate nicely, be happy, be healthy, praying to God for your all-round development. Once again, thank you all. My pranams to you all from Seattle. Jai Guru.